Fest, the Veranda Club, and especially Jagannathan ji for giving me this wonderful opportunity to release my book here and also talk to all of you. As I'm not sure how many of you know, but over the last 25 years I have been teaching yoga, I have been writing about yoga, speaking about yoga, and that's really my passion and what drives me. So every opportunity I get, I'm very grateful for, and today I'm very happy to be with all of you. Now, yesterday Anand Narsimanji was talking about, I don't know again how many of you were here, but those of you who were here will remember, he asked about 5 things that you could say, right? That you could be proud to be an Indian. And I want to talk about one thing that I'm very proud about being Indian, and that is the yoga that we have exported to the world. Yeah, this is not just me saying it, but one of the greatest yoga gurus of our time, right, T. Krishnamacharya, who is considered the father of modern day yoga, because he was the one who revived yoga in modern times. He himself says that India's treasure, greatest treasure that India has shared with the world is yoga. Yeah, so from the caves of Himalaya, so these are my favorite lines that I'm sharing with you all, right? Yoga is so hugely popular all over the world today. But where did it originate? Right, in the caves of the Himalayas. So from the caves of the Himalayas and to the studios of Manhattan, right, yoga has made its way in the world. From China to Japan to Korea, all over the places, Vietnam, Africa, and even places that you never thought would have yoga, like the Middle East. Right, there is yoga there now, yoga studios there now, people receiving awards from there now by the Indian government for the work that they're doing. So yoga has just really spread everywhere. But what I want to ask you all is, why is it so popular? Right? What is the magic of yoga that though this is something that originated so many years ago, how is it so popular still? And it's not just popular, right? Its popularity is only growing. And why is that? Because the power of yoga, I emphasize, is that it is an experiential practice. Yeah, it is not just something that you talk about or something that you philosophize about or something that you write about. It is something that you can truly experience. Words like inner peace, calm, feeling grounded, feeling centered, which are key words in today's time. And not just today's time, I think from time immemorial, men have always been, when I say men, I mean men and women, have always been searching for these states, right? Because every day we are agitated. Every day we get thrown off our balance. And we need to find ways to get back to our center. And that is the greatness of yoga, that through the practice of yoga, we can actually feel these states. And no, it does not require 10 years of practice or so many months of dedicated practice. In one session, right, in one session, you can taste these states of inner peace, of calm, of being grounded. And I can say this here with full courage and conviction, only because I have experienced it myself. I never grew up in a yoga background. I never grew up with, and in fact today much of my family is here. Nobody really was, exposed to yoga. We don't talk about yoga. I never grew up in any kind of yogic kind of family. But it was an inner calling, a search for me to deal with my own mind, right? To find these states. I think as human beings, we're always searching for these states. So for me, it was an inner search. And being Indian, growing up in Coimbatore, and I guess, like I said, an inner calling, I always explored these states. Like I went to meditation classes when I was in college. And when I first did my asana class, my very first asana class in Coimbatore, it was like a light had been switched on. All the stress, all the agitation, everything that sits in your head that doesn't allow you to feel good, makes you feel anxious, restless, agitated, all of that was lifted in one class, in my very first class. And I knew from that day that this is something that I could never stop doing, because once you taste a good state, you can never go back to how you used to feel, right? Because you've tasted that nectar of feeling good. and you cannot go back to not feeling good because you know the path. And that is what yoga does. No offense to doctors here, but everybody will tell you, oh, you have to relax, oh, you have to be calm, but nobody tells you how to do it, right? It is only yoga that has specific tools. It teaches you to use your breath, it teaches you to use your body, and it teaches you to use your mind through thought, like the Yoga Sutras. I think it's one of the most elevated thinking that is there. And both of my books, this is my second book, Breathe When Be, both of my books have been based on the Yoga Sutras, because to me, that contains all the knowledge that we need to live well. Right? So while yoga is about samadhi, whether it's Sage Vyasa, whether it's the Yoga Sutras, that is what they give us. The Ashtanga Yoga of Maharishi Patanjali leads to samadhi. But before we can even talk about samadhi, I always say, we have to first feel good. Right? We don't even feel well, then, samadhi and all that is really very far away. So that is why the practice becomes so important in order for us to connect to our original state. We're always connected to that personalities. I'm a depressed person, I'm an anxious person, I have anger management issues, I have panic issues, right? This is how we identify ourselves. But so we have to first get past those states to feel centered, to feel grounded, and yoga is the path. Now, it's not just me saying it. If you look at the Yoga Sutras, in the very second verse, right, Maharishi Patanjali gives us, why do we practice yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha, to still the waves of the mind. And what are these waves? These waves are what I was talking about. I'm sure all of us can identify with this. There are times, or maybe every day, when we wake up, we don't feel so good, right? We feel anxious, we feel worried, we feel stressed, and we don't know what to do about these states. That's our mind, right? And Vedanta, there's a very beautiful saying. It says, the mind on its own can make a hell out of heaven or a heaven out of hell. We live in our minds, right? If our minds are stressed, somebody asks you, how are you? I'm stressed. If our minds are depressed, somebody asks you, how are you? Not so good, right? So the state of our mind is key. And to me, that is what yoga is. While the minute I say yoga, people will imagine standing on your head, standing on your hand, all of that is there. But eventually, when you go deep into the practice, it is all about dealing with your mind, working with your mind, and really learning to cleanse our minds to come to that state of purity, right? So in the sutras itself, the second verse of the sutras talks about why we practice yoga, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, and the third verse goes on to say what happens then, right? And that is tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. We become established in our true selves. Now, established is a big word, but we at least get glimpses of our true self, right? Not the I am the depressed person, I am the anxious person, I am the anger management person. That's what we're always connected with. But when the waves of the mind are calm, when the mind gets stilled, right, we get a glimpse of our true self, which is calm, centered, grounded, and as they say, Satchit Ananda, right, ever peaceful, ever blissful, connected to the reality. So this to me is the reason why people continuously are coming into the practice, right? It is an ever evolving practice. The only thing is along the way, some of its purity has gone, right? The essence has gotten diluted, where in many parts of the world, yoga is just an exercise, right? I did my yoga class and then, asana is like a stretch, I want to lengthen my hamstrings, or I want to strengthen my core, right? That's why you go into an asana class. I want to, strengthen my back, which is all good. But all I say is, do not limit yoga or put yoga in a box, right? It is not only to strengthen your back, or it is not only to lengthen your hamstring, or it is not only to strengthen your core. It does all of that. But it is only our limited knowledge that boxes yoga into this. And yoga, again, is not something that we only do. Okay, well, when did you last do your yoga practice? Oh, I did my yoga practice once a week. Or I did my yoga practice from 6 to 7 in the morning, which is great. But yoga is not a 1 hour practice a day or once a week practice a day, however good that might be, which is better than not doing anything at all. But eventually, when we realize what the essence of yoga practice is, it is a moment to moment continuous practice. It is an awareness practice. It is a witnessing practice, and that is the yoga practice. the ability to watch ourselves, the ability to apply what they call swadhyaya, self-study, to know how we act, to watch how we react, to know our triggers, to know, what makes us happy, what agitates us, to see, we're always saying that the world is wrong and we're right, right? But that capacity to observe ourselves, to see the mind's, what I say, not just its, the way that it acts, but, a lot of times the mind is dysfunctional, right? But to able to see ourselves, and that I feel requires a lot of courage. So to me, with yoga, courage is a key component, because we always like to believe that the world is at fault and we're perfect human beings, right? So the ability to even watch ourselves and to see where we are going wrong, so that we can take some remedial measures, that requires a lot of courage, to see ourselves as the raw, unvarnished truth of ourselves. Not the story that we tell ourselves, not what we show people, right? We're always having a front with people, right? But we know that inside we feel a certain way, but we act another way. And to be able to see our not so great reactions, right? That requires so much courage, virya. Yeah, so yoga practices all of this. So when you leave here today, that's what I want to share, right? An expanded awareness of yoga. So when the word yoga comes, it should not only be standing on your head, because it is that, but it is so much more than that, right? And why is yoga only, like, to me, the need for yoga is so great, because today mental health issue is a big word, right? Everybody talks about mental health issues, and there are some amazing statistics, like it's all there in my book, about, I think, depression rates. I think it's a WHO report. In 2023, the depression rates were like 218 million people all over the world suffer from depression. And a lot of the people who suffer from depression also commit suicide. And I believe one of the fourth largest causes of suicide is, because of depression in the world, is because of suicide, largest causes of death. So all of this is connected. Mental health is a big deal. Yeah, we don't feel good in ourselves, then I guess it's only natural at some point we're going to ask ourselves, what's the point in living? So all of this says to me, the answer is in our yoga practice. Yeah, we don't need to be popping pills, and like I've heard that besides antidepressants, the next big thing is, medication to sleep, right? And to me, yoga has the answers to all of this. I don't know why we don't look back at our rich cultural heritage, because the answers are all here. This morning I was listening to a YouTube talk by Andrew Huberman. I think a lot of people who are on YouTube will, be aware of him. And he was talking about, if those who don't know about him, he's a very famous neuroscientist at Stanford. And he was talking about the wonders of Yoga Nidra. Yeah, and he was talking about how it was equivalent to 8 hours of sleep. Yeah, like, because I was just talking about people having difficulty sleeping, right? And the answers are all here. It is just that we don't bother. We just want quick fixes. We just want to pop a pill, without understanding that that's not going to help long term. So there's so much. The good thing today is there is a lot of scientific evidence on the efficacy of these practices, which make them so valid. In the earlier days, we had pranayama practices, right? So if you do the Nadi Shodhana practice, they'll tell you lengthen your exhalation, do your exhalation, double the length of your inhalation. And we did it, but we don't know why we do it, right? But today there is scientific evidence to say that the key to activating your relaxation response is long exhalation. So naturally in the Nadi Shodhana practice, the long exhalation is there. Your exhalation is double the length of your inhalation. So today there is scientific evidence. So when we speak to people also, I always say, yoga doesn't need scientific evidence, but the human mind, the doubting human mind needs scientific evidence, right? So it's good to be able to speak like this. And they say that the long exhalation activates your vagus nerve, which in turn activates the relaxation response in our bodies. So, like, just before I was coming on stage also, right? when I talked about yoga being a moment-to-moment practice, right? So it's not just striking postures like maybe 1 hour in the morning. So when I was sitting there and waiting for my turn, yeah, it's a bit stressful getting on here and talking, right? So I was sitting and just focusing on my breath and trying to do long exhalations. So why I'm sharing this with you, you're not going to think I'm so great now, but why I'm sharing this with you is to say that this is something that can be applied at all times. There are so many stressful times in our lives, right? As we get older, health becomes such a big problem. And we're waiting anxiously outside. I mean, all this has happened to me, right? Which I'm sharing. You're waiting anxiously outside the doctor's office. Maybe you need to be wheeled in for a procedure. Maybe you're waiting for some test. Instead of simply sitting there and getting stressed out, right? We can all focus on our breath is with us all the time. And we can all focus on working with our breath. I always tell my student, your breath has to become your best friend. Because the breath, we are born with that first breath and we leave the world with the last breath. So our breath is our constant companion, right? So as we learn to focus, to me, the whole of yoga practice is relationship building. We are building a relationship with ourselves. From when we are, I would say even babies, the whole focus of our lives is other people. Right? I'm sure even babies are trying to figure out what they can do to make their moms happy and what they did wrong that their mother scolded them. Right? From small, we are only learning to deal with the world. Right? As we become school children, we're going into school, we're trying to see how we can please our teachers, how we can fit into peer groups. Nobody tells you to figure out what it is that you want or connect to your inner self. And to me, that comes with yoga practice. That is the singular most important reason why everybody must practice yoga. To build a relationship with your own self. And unless you can build a relationship with yourself, you cannot lead an authentic life. And unless you lead an authentic life, you can never be happy. There will always be a restlessness, an agitation, a void as they call it. And it is this void that we're trying to fill in with random meaningless shopping and random meaningless relationships because nobody has taught us to fill that void by ourselves, to connect to ourselves, to figure out what our life is about, what makes us happy, what makes us unhappy, right? What brings meaning to our life. Nobody has told us to do that. And when you step into the yoga class, that is the first thing that you do. And it begins with the body, right? I have students, very intelligent people, lawyers, doctors, all of them. But when you tell them, lift your right leg, the left leg will go up. And when you say lift your left hand, the right hand will go up. No offense, it's only because we are so disconnected. The only time we focus on our body is when we have pain. Right? We have knee pain, we have back pain, all hell breaks loose, go to the doctor, do all kinds of things. But otherwise, we really are not connected to our bodies. And also, we have a very negative relationship with our bodies, right? We look into the mirror, we only have complaints, right? And that's where the inner narrative comes in, right? What is the relationship you're building with your body? Do you know that every single thought in your head is experienced in every single cell in your body? You cannot say, I can think bad things in my head and think that your body is going to be fine. Because every single thought releases hormones. When we are angry, when we are agitated, we're releasing hormones. And these chemicals secreted into the bloodstream and they affect all our body organs. So it is so important to realize that mind and body are deeply connected. In fact, in a lot of places, they don't even call it mind and body. It is mind-body. And again, this is backed by scientific, because in scientific circles now, they accept that over 90% of diseases have their roots in stress. And where is the stress? The stress is in the mind. And where does it come? It is reflected in our bodies, right? From heart disease to, today even infertility, they say, is a result of stress. From stomach, gastrointestinal issues, all of it is related to stress. So that mind and body is connected, I have to say and body, that it is connected is no more something that just yogis say. it is seamless. It is only mind, body. And that is why they say that when we have fear, right, the body tenses in fear, freezes in shock. All of this we have experienced, right? So this is all something that we really should take to heart to empower our lives. So yoga for me is an empowering practice. It is the greatest practice that we can do to empower our own self. Yeah, and my book is based on Ashtanga Yoga, which Maharishi Patanjali has given. Yamas, Niyamas, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara. All of this is to release suffering and allow our inner light to shine through. We are all light. Unfortunately, it is all clouded, right? We are all clouded by anger, by depression, by negativity, by toxicity, by the bitterness we hold against people, by the grudges we hold against people. All of that covers our light. But through the practice of yoga, through the practice of yamas and niyamas, that gets cleansed. Yeah, the practice of yoga is what they call antakarna shuddhi, the cleansing of our inner instruments, so that our inner light can shine through. Yeah, so I'm going to stop with this. Do I have any more time? I have 4 minutes left. Okay, great. So I wanted to take you all through a very short sit. Yeah, so if you can just sit tall, just close your eyes and just notice. Yeah, close your eyes please, just indulge me. Yeah, and then become aware of your mind, right? That itself is such a powerful practice. The ability to take a step back and simply observe your thoughts. And here you understand, this was Adi Shankaracharya's line, that whatever is me or mine is not I, right? And we realize we are not our thoughts. So we are in that space of the witness, the Sakshi Bhava. Simply witness your thoughts. Where does your mind go to? Right? Again, here comes the play of Raga and Dvesha. Whatever you're attracted towards or whatever you dislike also will capture your mind. Noticing all of that. Now, learn to direct your mind to your body. Remember, we're talking about building a relationship with yourself. Just become aware of your feet. Just feeling that sense of touch. Become aware of your knees, your sit bones, your spine, all of this that gives your body structure, gives your body shape, your shoulders, your arms, your neck, your face. And then becoming aware of space, sensing space, right? Becoming aware of space outside of you and knowing that there is space accommodated in you as well. And like the space inside the pot is not different from the space outside the pot, there is only one space. And feel those tight boundaries of your body relax and release, and feel yourself as a continuum of space, of energy, of light, of intelligence, sensing that realm of unlimited possibilities, and sensing, tasting that greater self, one that is not bound by space, by time. Okay, and then just ask yourself, Koham, these are the existential questions that have existed since the time of man. Ramana Maharshi's famous line was that, Koham. And even Lord Rama, which brought about the Yoga Vashishta, he was also afflicted by the same question, Koham. And it is these questions, these existential questions, that form the bedrock of Sanatana Dharma. This is our culture, and the questions and answers is Sanatana Dharma. And the answer that came to Ramana Maharshi was Soham, that I am. Like the wave realizes that the essence of the wave is not different from the essence of the ocean, similarly, our essence is not different from the essence of the universe and from the essence of the person sitting next to you also. We are all one essence. Okay, my time's up. Namaste all. And thank you, Shifalaji and Jagannathanji once again for this wonderful opportunity. And I truly hope that you are all empowered and encouraged to take up yoga.
One question.
Sir, later. We are really running out of time. It was a wonderful calming session, Naka. May I now request Shefali Akka to release the book and M.K. Jinachandran to receive the first book, and also felicitate Shailaja Menon ji.